Here's more wrestling news for May 2nd, 2022. And your headlines for this afternoon include, is Bayley still signed with WWE? Two big names confirmed their return to AEW. Jake Roberts recalls racist jabs infuriating fans, how they responded. Released WWE wrestler debuted at AEW Dark Tapings in Orlando. Booker T believes Impact Wrestling was a factor in the IInspiration stepping away from pro wrestling. Charlotte Flair has major heat backstage. No women in WWE want to work with her right now. Kurt Angle believes Chris Jericho is now the greatest wrestler ahead of Shawn Michaels. WWE wrestler's impressive body transformation. Fire him immediately. WWE Legends reaction to Sonya Deville interview. Rhea Ripley confirms relationship with an AEW star. Matt Riddle's lady friend shades his ex-wife in epic fashion, and more. We're starting today with Bayley, who hasn't been seen in WWE for a long time. Mere weeks before the return of live fans in July 2021, Bayley suffered a torn ACL during a mandatory WWE training session, and some have even questioned about her status with the company. When sources reached out, they were told by those within WWE that Bayley is still employed, despite so many other superstars having lost their jobs. It goes to show just how much faith WWE has in Bayley, as even after over 9 months away, the company hasn't released her, while big names such as Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Keith Lee, and more have all been cut. The role model has remained active on social media and recently seemed to tease a return to NXT and a feud with Amber Fry. Despite reports in recent months about Bayley's impending return, there's still no concrete plans for the former SmackDown Women's Champion, but she remains very much employed to WWE despite her break from TV. Over to AEW next, as at January's Battle of the Belts 1 event, Rhea was injured during her match with then Women's World Champion Britt Baker. It's since been reported that Rhea suffered a broken collarbone early into the bout, but worked through the entire match without any complaints and without deviating from the original plans. In her time away, Rhea traveled back to her native Japan so she could recover in a more familiar setting, but will soon be back in the US and at AEW events. On her subscribers-only blog, Rhea confirmed that she is all healed up and said she will be returning to the United States very soon. This return fits in with the expected recovery time, as after the injury, it was said that it'd take roughly 3 months for the inaugural Women's World Champion to fully heal. As for what AEW has planned for her, that remains to be seen, but it won't be too much longer before fans get to see Rhea in the ring again. Rhea isn't the only star set to return soon, as Yuka Sakazaki will soon be back with AEW. Tokyo Joshi Pro has officially announced her return after AEW reportedly requested her return to compete within the coming week. This does mean that Sakazaki has had to pull out of a couple of events, including a show tonight in Ryogoku, and has withdrawn from the Edion Arena Osaka tournament on May 5th. Sakazaki competed during AEW's inaugural Double or Nothing event in 2019, teaming with Aja Kong and Emi Sakura, and she'll soon be back with the company. Now, Jake the Snake Roberts has had a unique life in wrestling, with various highs and personal lows to speak of. Having worked in various territories in addition to the WWF, WCW, and now AEW, Roberts spent much of his career as a heel and didn't hold back when it came to riling up the fans. Speaking on Talk is Jericho recently, Roberts reminisced about a time when wrestling wasn't so PC and said that while he isn't racist and doesn't care about the color of someone's skin, he was fine with using race as a heel. Speaking about his work in AAA, Jake recalled doing a promo around the time of the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta and said that the reason that they were being held in the US and not Mexico is because, quote, anybody that can run, jump, or swim is already there. A reference to illegal immigration that riled up the fans of AAA, Roberts didn't stop there as he sang a song called The Frito Bandito, which was quickly pulled by the promotion. Roberts didn't think much of his promo at the time, but when he saw people being attacked with water cannons on the TV later that night, and when he asked the hotel staff what was going on, he was told that this was part of a citywide manhunt for him, and was told that people were wanting to cut his throat. Roberts said he kept a low profile for the rest of the night, but did buy a beer, and that his run in AAA ended when he and DDP were pelted with batteries by the fans. This left Roberts so heated that he destroyed his own locker room and has kept his distance from the promotion ever since. Now Roberts is a fixture of AEW, and while he may not be in the same shape as he once was, he at least doesn't have to worry about being pelted by batteries or fans wanting to murder him over a promo. It's no secret that when it comes to hiring new stars, AEW will often sign former WWE talent, and now yet another former champion has competed for Tony Khan. At the most recent AEW Dark tapings in Orlando, Florida, Leon Ruff made his AEW debut after being released from WWE on August 6th of last year. A former NXT North American champion, Ruff won the title in an upset against Johnny Gargano in late 2020, but lost the title back to him a month later in a triple threat, which also featured Damian Priest. A Triple H hiring, Ruff had a unique 2 years with NXT before being let go, and while his appearance at AEW Dark was likely just a tryout, it could lead to bigger and better things for the former North American champion. Last weekend, the IInspiration announced that they will be taking an indefinite break from pro wrestling, and there's no word on when, if ever, they'll return. After years in WWE, the former Iconics made a big splash in Impact Wrestling, becoming the Knockouts Tag Team Champions in their first match, making them the only team to win Women's Tag Team Gold in Impact and WWE. Speaking on his Hall of Fame podcast this week, Booker T discussed the IInspiration and said he isn't surprised to see the Australian tag team take a break. Booker explained that while many women don't have 7-year careers in wrestling, the IInspiration accomplished that in just WWE alone, noting how long they were with the company. He then said that by comparison, Impact is a much smaller company with a different level, different crowd, different shows, and, most importantly, a much different pay. Booker suggested that the matter of pay is something that may have sealed the deal for the IInspiration, as with road expenses, hotels, food, airfare, and a ton more, the IInspiration may have determined that continuing as wrestlers simply wasn't worth it. We don't know what the long-term future holds for the two, but Jessie McKay has already been cast in an upcoming feature film, so perhaps the pair will find a better life away from the ring. Back to WWE, and this Sunday will be the company's WrestleMania Backlash event, which will see SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair defend against Ronda Rousey in an I Quit match. With the undisputed WWE Universal Championship not being defended, this is arguably the biggest title match of the show, and one where a title change is expected to take place. That's according to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, who notes that Rousey is expected to win the title, her first championship victory since SummerSlam 2018. WWE's belief is that Rousey is literally too legit to quit at Backlash, and after losing at WrestleMania, this Sunday's show will make things right for her. This of course means that Flair's title reign will come to an end, and we doubt anyone backstage will be too upset to see that happen. PW Torch is reporting that the heat against Charlotte Flair is once again at a high right now, to the point that no women in WWE want to work with her. The roster are against working with her, despite the fact that a feud with her will guarantee a superstar TV time, and at least as of right now, a championship feud. Reports of heat against the Queen have grown more frequent in recent years, and Fightful Select reports that Charlotte isn't doing herself any favors, as she's been outspoken against WWE's creative plans, despite having received better booking and more titles than any other woman. There was a time when it was reported that Flair was eager to lose the title, and had at one point suggested Bianca Belair as the woman to drop the gold too, but in their report, Fightful say that there's many superstars who doubt Flair would have gone through with a loss to the EST if WWE had agreed to it. It's impossible to argue that Flair is the most decorated female champion, and will likely be that way for a very, very long time, but the Queen is seemingly incredibly alone on her throne at the top of WWE. For as long as wrestling has been around, there has been a debate about who is the greatest ever, and for many, the answer is Shawn Michaels. A wrestler who excelled in every facet of the profession, Michaels may indeed be the greatest ever, but that's no longer how Kurt Angle sees things. Speaking to Lucha Libre Online, Angle discussed his WrestleMania 21 opponent and his various accolades, but said that Chris Jericho can now lay claim to being the GOAT. What Jericho's been able to do with his characters changing and innovating himself and being able to be as effective as he is in the business this late in his career at 51, 52 years of age, and being in the business for over 30 years, he put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and he's very talented. So I put him up there with Michaels, but now, after being in AEW and doing the things he's doing now, he has to be the greatest of all time, especially the amount of years he's put in. After 30 years in wrestling, Jericho continues to reinvent himself and is just as relevant in AEW today as he was when he was on top of WWE 20 years ago. Ironically, Jericho's smaller stature and in-ring skill led many people to call him the next Shawn Michaels in the early days of his career, but now Y2J has matched and surpassed the showstopper. On last week's Raw, Glenn Jacobs had a segment with Ezekiel where they denied being Kane and Elias, respectively. Jacobs, the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, wore a suit for the segment, meaning fans didn't get to see his impressive physique. On Twitter, the 55-year-old WWE Hall of Famer showed off with a shirtless pic, saying a mix of DDP yoga and low carbs has helped him immensely. Kane's last match was part of the 2021 Men's Royal Rumble, but with the shape he's in, don't count out one last match from the Big Red Machine. Last week's Raw also saw Sonya Deville try and win the Raw Women's Championship and use every underhanded trick she could in her quest. Despite having her match restarted and the interference of Carmella and Queen Zelina, Deville came up short and faced some tough grilling on Raw Talk after the show. Interviewed by Kevin Patrick, the Irish WWE interviewer questioned how Deville would feel about an investigation into misuse of her authority, but the former MMA fighter does have some defenders. In response to Kevin Patrick's comments, WWE Hall of Famer JBL fired back, saying Deville should start cutting people and had one name in mind. "I'd start with Kevin Patrick. I think that was horrible journalism. I would either put him on suspension or fire him immediately. I think what Sonya Deville is doing is magnificent. I wish I was an official in WWE." JBL actually briefly was an official in WWE, as he ran the original NXT from 2013 to 2014, filling a space between Dusty Rhodes and William Regal. Whether Deville's actions last week lead to an investigation remained to be seen, but the authority figure is running out of tricks up her sleeve in her attempts to become Raw Women's Champion. Speaking of that title, former Raw Women's Champion Rhea Ripley has achieved a lot during her time on the Red brand, but she's now begun a new relationship with an AEW star. On Twitter, Ripley confirmed that she's dating Buddy Matthews, as when a fan asked what does Buddy have that they don't, Rhea responded with a simple "me." On WWE TV, Ripley is now feuding with Liv Morgan after turning on her mere weeks after they started teaming together, so perhaps Buddy Matthews should be wary of his budding relationship with the WWE superstar. And we're ending with Riddle, as his ex-wife Lisa confirmed their divorce yesterday, and it seems the original bro isn't waiting around. Just recently, Riddle was spotted with a new woman, Daniela Petro, who was ready to throw shade at Lisa Rennie. In a lip-synced video, Petro is seen miming to the lyrics, "I don't care who had you first, you look better with me, much, much better with me, respectfully." When Ringside News asked a source close to the situation, they were told that Riddle and Daniela are just friends, but it appears Petro thinks that they are much more than that, and is making those feelings clear over social media. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.